Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we are not sweating to the oldies today. We're freezing in here. It's terrible.
Sweating isn't a word that we're going to be associated with for some time here.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and also Investing with Confidence on YouTube. So, Al, as we get into this next segment here, I don't watch a lot of news, but I do check out the news every once in a while. And they're always talking about the stock market. This is happening with the stock market. This is why it's happening. And it's really creating emotions and opinions, right? But one of the key things I think the news could be missing out on is some of the opportunities with these other assets that you don't really hear about. You got the futures market, which is phenomenal for the average investor.
Right.
You have the Forex market, which I think is the best of all. And then you have the options market. But they don't talk about it a lot on TV. So it's kind of a foreign object for a lot of people. People don't know what it really is. So that's why I really like when we talk about these other assets, is to help people understand what else is available out there. What are some of the perks of them? Some of the perks and the disadvantages, so people understand what they're getting into. But how can we do them just like the financial institutions do?
Yeah, really what it gets down to, Josh, is that people understand the stock market, they understand mutual funds, and basically the public, and this is the biggest mistake I think we make, the public is thinking, acting, and executing like the public, like other amateurs, like novices, and not acting like pros. And the way that you access these markets with the greatest potential to be successful is to start thinking, acting, and executing like the pros. The pros are not just using stock. They pretty much don't use mutual funds. They're using other assets. They definitely will sell them. It's a great product, and it's a great part of a business model for them, because basically what they do with the mutual fund is hand off the responsibility for management to somebody else, and then they can just go out and work on gathering new assets. But when we think about it, the assets that you choose, that is a big part of your trading strategy, your investing strategy. But number one, you have to know when to use those things, how to use them, first of all, when to use them. And this is, I think, a great point to make here. What's the most important thing to have happen after you make a trade or an investment?
You want it to go in your favor.
Absolutely. You want the price to move in your direction. And how do you do that? You have to be able to do that with a high degree of confidence. And that's getting back to knowing what moves price. Why does price move? It's not just because there are certain fundamentals or certain things that are happening within the company. It really doesn't make any difference. You can have the greatest company in the world that just came out with the greatest product ever, but if nobody buys the stock, the price of the stock won't go anywhere.
Yeah. So what really moves that price then?
Well, it's the big institutions, the people that have millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in a position. For example, if a company like Goldman Sachs wanted to have a position in Apple stock, they're not going to buy 50 shares or 100 shares. They may buy millions of shares. But we know, and this is one of the things that we can utilize, we have our foundational strategy that our students use called Core Strategy, which really is based on the concept of supply and demand. In the markets, that's buyers and sellers. But basically what we're doing is we're helping to identify when something is going to happen, when price is going to go up, when price is going to go down. And the key word there is going. And what I mean by that is that it hasn't happened yet. And once something has happened, once an institution has made a full trade, the movement has already taken place, the majority of the movement. So the goal with the proper strategy is to be able to identify where their activity is going to take place beforehand. That's our core strategy, which we go into more detail in these classes that you're talking about.
You're right. I mean, you have to have that strategy that's designed to really teach you to make those better investing decisions. And how do you do that? With confidence, right?
Correct.
And when you have that confidence, you got to find out, okay, what is going to move price? You have to understand that. It's pretty simple. It's actually supply and demand, but it's the big institutions, the smart money we call it.
Right.
They have the money and they move the market. So us as the average investor, it's kind of like, think of it this way. As the average investor, we want to be a mouse. We want to be taking pieces of the cheese as Goldman Sachs are moving the markets, because we're never going to be seen in the market. We're so small.
Correct.
And when you have these big money moves, just take pieces of cheese like that little mouse in there. So, and that's why you do need a core strategy that's designed to teach you to do that. So Al, once you have a strategy that's designed to teach you to make those better investing decisions, you
Right.
have to have the proper asset
Correct.
based on your time, your schedule, but also your capital too. Because a lot of people, we talk about the stock market every week. A lot of people only know that stock market. That's actually the most expensive, especially
Right.
now with markets at all time highs, to get into. Talk about the leverage on how phenomenal that is for the average investor with the futures in the forex market.
Yeah, and that's the second part of your investing plan, trading plan should be the proper assets you use. And there are a number. There's the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market, and we have students that choose maybe one over the other, maybe because it just fits their personal trading style a little bit better. It's one spot you go. You go to the academy, and you have classes that are available in forex, classes available in futures, classes available in options. So you don't have to go to separate areas or have a subscription to some kind of a newsletter that covers just one specific area. So and that's one of the things we do is help our students identify maybe the asset that would give them the potential to reach their goals most effectively and most efficiently. The institutions use those things on a regular basis. And why do they use them? Why do they use the futures market, the forex market, and especially options? Because they realize that there's some great benefits there. You mentioned one of them, the word leverage.
Yeah.
And that really is something that allows people that don't have a lot of money the opportunity to participate in assets or investments that have a higher value, actually a higher value than you actually have in your account. You're doing this on margin. The brokers will allow you to do this and use that leverage. That's something that it can be very beneficial to you, but you want to also make sure that you understand that leverage that goes in your favor. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, can't that go against you? Well, it can, and you shouldn't be doing these. You shouldn't invest in something you don't understand without also understanding the possibility, the potential to manage the risk part of it. And we help with that too. In fact, we have a platform that our students use. It's a trading analysis platform and actually decision assist platform that will have you put into it. You specialize it, you kind of customize it. But the first thing it asks you is, what is the maximum amount of money you are willing to risk on any trade? Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $100. But once you put that in, that platform is going to tell you if you try to put a trade together that exceeds that. So it keeps you out of something that is not beneficial to you.
Yeah. So based on, like, say somebody works during the day,
Sure.
would it be beneficial to be in a market that's open in the evening?
Well, if you're working during the day and you don't have access to the market, you're pretty much out of luck. There's nothing you can do as far as the stock market is concerned or mutual funds, but there are assets that trade 24 hours a day. The futures market is open almost 24 hours a day. The foreign exchange market, commonly called the forex market, open 24 hours a day. So you have many more opportunities to trade that fit within your schedule, but it also allows you to be able to manage your assets on basically a 24-hour schedule. The leverage is huge. We're looking anywhere from maybe 10 to 1 to over 100 to 1 leverage, which means each dollar that you invest has a multiple of that as far as what it can control in these markets.
Can you clarify something? You mentioned people have the opportunity to manage their trades 24 hours a day. Does that mean they have to watch it 24 hours a day?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so the platform is actually designed to do that for you, essentially, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The primary goal that most of our students have is to maximize the value, the time they have. In other words, use it for things that maybe help increase the enjoyment in their life. It's not sitting in front of a computer, although we do actually have a couple of students that prefer to do that. But that's not the goal. And I mentioned earlier that having confidence also knows that you can have a trade or an investment that you can walk away from and don't even worry about the outcome. That's because you've preset it in a way where it's a low risk entry with a high reward, low risk outcome. That's the potential there. And if you are right, there's a profit there that should be protected. A lot of people just throw money into something, that buy and hold strategy, and they don't really take advantage of profits. Sometimes they'll lose a profit. So we want to make sure that if you have a profit there, not only are you managing and protecting your initial investment, but protect that profit too. That's your money. That's something that should stay with you in your pocket and not be taken away. So if you preset a trade like that and you have the confidence in the strategy that you're using, you can do that. You can walk away and just set a trade, then turn your computer off. Go out and have some fun. Don't worry about what you've just done because you know you're protected. Your capital's protected if you're wrong, and your capital and your profit is protected if you're right.
That's right. The key thing is removing those emotions. I mean, you're not going to just forget about your trade. You are protected on both ends, and that's why Al's talking about you need a strategy that's designed to teach you to do that, how to have your entry points, your targets, and your protection in there, so you can do that with confidence.
Right.
And that's what it all comes down to: is having that confidence, not just forgetting about it, but having confidence that you've made a good decision. So, Al, you explain a little more in detail how that really works in these investing classes, as far as how a potential person could place a trade and have
Right.
protection on both ends, because that's one of the key things our sponsor, Online Trading Academy, teaches is different ways and techniques to protect yourself. Because if you don't protect your investments, you can't grow them. Al, coming up next, I want to talk about, I mean, remember when we were kids, we used to walk through the woods and there was a pathway to wherever you were going. That's kind of like people that are working now, and they're kind of creating a pathway to their retirement. So I want to talk about that pathway, different ways to make sure there's nothing in your way. This is Josh and Al, Investing with Confidence. We'll be right back.